Hey, I'm Sartorial Phil. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is a story time kind of video. I don't really usually do this, but I wanted to tell you how I was able to get this Birkin, which was my first Birkin in Paris. This was at the flagship store at the Faubourg Saint-Honorè. So I had done some research prior to going just to see what the process was, and it seems like they actually changed it a couple times, and the last time they changed it was very recent. It was August 31st of 2017, so they had changed to a different system. I had strategically booked an apartment that was close to the flagship store. It was only a few minutes walk away. The first day that I got there was already the afternoon, and that was the day where I had a private appointment with Louis Vuitton, which I included a picture of in my Instagram if you haven't checked that out. The next day, I figured I'd go to the flagship store a few minutes before they opened just to kind of see how bad the line was. Because at that point, what I thought you had to do was line up early, and then they would start giving out appointments on a first come, first served basis, and then you would come back later in the day based on when your appointment slot was. So I went there. The line was actually not too long. I was only there maybe 5 to 10 minutes before they opened. There were maybe 20 to 30 people in front of me. And once the store opened, it went pretty fast. And once I was able to get into the store, which was only maybe even less than 5 minutes of waiting once the store opened, I saw that one of the people by the door was handing out these cards. So this card is double-sided, and it's English and French, and on the English side it says, starting from the 31st of August, please connect on a new appointment website in the leather department, www.hermesfaubourg.com. The website is accessible from mobile phones and tablets. And then finally it says, if you cannot access the internet, please find your host or hostess in the leather department. I asked for a little bit more clarification later, and it seems like the appointments in the morning are first come, first serve. So maybe there's only a handful, maybe 5 or 6. If you happen to be the first 5 or 6 and you do want to look at their main leather goods, you basically could just connect with a sales associate right then and there. But for everyone else, they don't arrange your appointments. You have to go online the day before to set up an appointment time. And what it is, it's actually a lottery system. So it's a 50-50 chance if you're going to be able to get an appointment or not. Something that I learned through the process, because I entered it twice, is that you're entering it for the following day. You can't pick a future date. It is only for the next business day. The website doesn't really tell you in specifics what time to enter the lottery, because that's basically what it is. I would advise that if you are going to try and get an appointment at the leather department to look at the main leather goods, you want to do so probably between the time they normally open, which is 10 a.m., and you probably want to do it before 5 p.m. So if you want to get in the lottery system for an appointment the following day, do it between 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. because by 7:30 p.m., they will text you and let you know. I think they'll either text or email you, depending on what information you put or what your preference is. They will contact you to say if you did, in fact, win the lottery, and if so, what your estimated appointment time is, or if not, they would just let you know that unfortunately you were not selected. One thing to note is that you do need to provide your passport number. It's mandatory. Even if you're not a tourist and you have a French passport, I think they still require it, and they do check it. So if you did actually get the lottery, you win the lottery, and you go there and you meet up with the sales associate, they will ask you for your passport before they help you. That's something definitely to keep in mind. You fill out the form and you submit it, and like I said, you would get a response. It's around 7 to 7:30 p.m. that evening, and they'll let you know if you won the lottery for the following day. So the first time that I did it, I was not able to win it. I figured at that point it was probably gonna be a long shot for me to get the appointment because I was only there for a few more days. That's where I decided to get the other items. I got the City Back 27, I got the Cape Cod belt, and I got the Izmir sandals. But I tried again the following day, and I got a text from them at 7 that congratulations, or something to that effect, that you able to get an appointment, and then they give you a time estimate. Mine was at 12:35 p.m., but it's subject to change. That's another thing to consider. If you have definite plans to go somewhere, or maybe you travel a little bit outside of the city, that can kind of ruin your plans. I had wanted to go to the Champagne region the day that I got selected for this, and I pretty much had to scratch those plans because I really wanted to see what the experience was like getting the leather appointment. And I, of course, also was hoping that I would get a Birkin. The week that I went was around Paris Fashion Week, so I did not get my hopes up. I figured, if they happen to have one, great. If not, no worries, because I had other things to do in Paris and I had other stores to shop as well. The day came, and I was actually running a little late because I had originally wanted to get there 30 minutes earlier. You definitely want to get there earlier if you can. I'd say between 30 minutes and 15 minutes is good. By the time it was, I think, an hour before, Hermès, the automated system, sent me another text to say that kind of reminded me of my appointment, that my sales associate would be ready shortly. So I kind of panicked and I tried to get ready as fast as possible. And I started going there. And when I was maybe 2 minutes away, they said that my sales associate was pretty much wrapping up or ready. And then I got another text, I believe, that said my sales associate is ready and is waiting for me at the leather department. And in France and probably in other European countries, when they say the first floor, it's the floor that's one flight of stairs up. Normally in the US, when we say first floor, it's what we call ground level, and the second floor is one flight of stairs up. That's where I met with my sales associate, and he brought me over to a sitting area. It wasn't like a private lounge, it was just in one of the open areas, because Hermès also sells furniture. So I was sitting with a Hermès desk and an Hermès chair, and asked me if I wanted anything to drink. And then he asked me how he could help. He had a notebook, and I had read a lot, and I watched some YouTube videos on how to approach getting a Birkin in that Paris flagship store. A lot of them are basically saying that you shouldn't just say that the Birkin is what you want, the first thing that comes out of your mouth, because it could be kind of rude. I played a little bit coy. I first said I wanted to look at the Jige, the Jige, I think that's how you pronounce it, because that was something I wanted to get, and I figured if they didn't have a Birkin, but they had the Jige in the color that I wanted, that would be kind of my consolation prize. I made some small talk about where he was from and how many times I've been to Paris. And then I also hinted that I have a few items before. So I'm already, just to let them know that I'm already an Hermès customer, that I'm not just going in there just to get the Birkin bag and get out. Then I said that I wanted an HAC, and I still didn't say Birkin. And it took him a few seconds, but he knew what I was talking about. He just said, I'll see what I can do for you. Or do you have any preferences on the leather and color? And for me, I just wanted a neutral color. I definitely knew I did not want a bright color, even if it was the exact model I want, but I was okay with any sort of neutral, so browns, grays, and blacks. We talked a little bit, and I said, well, if you happen to have also any Birkins, I might be interested in that if it's the same size, so like the 40. That's the smallest size that the HAC comes in. He wrote that down as well, and he just said that he'll see what he can do. For me, if he didn't outright said that he didn't have any in stock, I was feeling optimistic that, okay, maybe there happens to be some left, because I know the HAC is definitely not nearly as popular as the regular Birkin. So first, when he came back, he showed me the Jige, and unfortunately I forgot to take pictures, but he only had a few bright colors. He had like a Kelly green, and I think he had the Hermès orange. And I did end up seeing both of them, but he only brought out one at a time. So he brought out the Jige first, the green one. It wasn't really my style, and he took it back, and then it took him a few more minutes, like maybe 3 or 4 minutes, before he came out with a large dust bag, which I have lining the bottom of this table right now underneath the Birkin. and I knew right away that it was a HAC. And when he opened it up, it was actually the same color as this. And in my previous video, I had mistakenly called this the Etrusque color, but it's actually the Cuivre. I looked at my receipt, and also someone confirmed for me on Instagram that this is in fact the Cuivre, the Cuivre color. And it really changes depending on the lighting. You'll see in this couple of sample pictures I took. The HAC that I tried on, which was the longer bag, and this one is the exact same color and exact same leather. The Togo, which is a matte, fully grained, soft leather. In the spotlighting, this looks brighter, almost like orange, but in the more ambient lighting, it looks a little bit more brown and muted. I looked at that, I said I'm kind of not 100% sure because it was a little too large on me, and honestly, I'd probably have trouble wearing it as an everyday bag. I feel like when they offer you a Birkin in Paris, you kind of want to get it because it is less expensive there compared to pretty much just about everywhere else. And I did the math. This bag is, I believe it's 14,000 in the US. But this was 8,700 euro. So when you calculate the D-tax and the tax you would be paying locally, it came out to around a 35% savings. I said I'd think about it, and then he brought it back in, and then he directed me to a private room. And then that's actually where he showed me this bag, so the Birkin 40. Immediately when I looked at it, I felt like the size is much more manageable for me as an everyday bag, and I tried it on. I wasn't trying it on too long, but I was probably in that room for a good 10 minutes, just looking at it, kind of checking out the inside, checking out the color in different lighting, holding up to the window, and then I just decided to get it. One thing also I forgot to mention, for the HAC, if I remember correctly, the inside was completely empty. There were no pockets. This one, if you haven't checked out my detailed video, I show you that there's two pockets, one slot pocket and one zipper pocket in the back. And the HAC, the hardware up here is a little bit different. It's a little bit more substantial than compared to the regular Birkins. So he brought me back out, and I was at the cashier. He showed me the orange one, the orange Gege as well while I was in that room, but I knew I was going to get this, so I didn't want to do any more shopping at that point at Hermès. So I just picked this up. And he was wrapping this up for me while the cashier handled the transaction. That is how I got this bag, and lugging it back though was another story. I did not want to check this in, and I think even if you didn't buy a Birkin and you brought a Birkin to Paris, you're not going to want to check this in. You're going to want to carry this around with you. I use this kind of like my personal item, but I put the dust bag over it, and I put it on top of my rolling luggage, and that's how I kind of transported it. To summarize how I was able to get this, first of all, you need to make an appointment, and you can do so online going to www.hermesfaubourg.com. I'll include the link in the description and the summary as well. You have to request the appointment the day before, and it only works for the following day. And I recommend you do so between 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. because around 7 to 7:30 p.m., that's when they notify you, either through text or email, that you've been selected, and they'll estimate what time you got, or that you unfortunately were not selected and you have to try again another time. You do need your passport. You need your passport number when you enter the lottery, and when you go, if you are selected, when you go meet up with your sales associate, they will ask you for your passport and they will verify the number. I think part of that is they don't want you to maybe sell your appointment to someone else, because then it would be really unfair for people who are actually trying to go themselves to get an appointment. And you want to be at least 15 minutes earlier, maybe 30 minutes if you can. I mean, you can walk around the shop. You can go in. You can walk around the shop until you're ready. Your essay is ready, and they will text you to let you know when to meet them. For the flagship store, you have to go upstairs. They call it the first floor, but that's one flight of stairs up. We would normally call that in the US the second floor. That's really about it. I'm really not sure what the right etiquette is. I think it's probably okay if you just ask them, I want something that I'm looking for is a Birkin. I would just say be nice about it and just be cordial about it. And I will say, I mean, it helps to make some small talk with them, ask them how their day is, and in a way let them know that you're not a first-time Hermès customer, if that is truly the case. Other people say that if you own any Hermès items to bring it with you, but I just find that that'd be a hassle to transport back and forth just to show the sales associate that you have Hermès items. Like if you have a bracelet or something small, I think that would be fine. But I personally wouldn't recommend bringing your Birkin there to go get another Birkin. So the next time I go to Paris, I'm not going to bring this just to go into the store and let the SA know that I already have one. I'll maybe talk about it, and I'll probably have pictures on my phone if I do decide to show the SA, but I'm not going to bring this. If you have any questions for me, feel free to comment below and I will try to answer them as soon as I can. If you haven't checked out my unboxing video or the detailed video of this, I show you what it looks like on and I go through more detail of the bag. Be sure to check those out on my channel. So thank you for watching. If you haven't checked out my Instagram page, I post pretty regularly and I have exclusive content there and I usually tend to update there more often. I hope to see you in my next video.